Hello and welcome. I am Zelion from Demonic Consultation, here to give some pointers to a couple of my friends about how to solo the Lich King on 25-man heroic. Now, one of the hardest part about getting it is everybody thinks you have to go through the whole thing on 25 heroic. That is not the case. Go through most of the raid on 10-man normal, then you exit the raid, switch it to 25 player, then you will run back into the raid and then switch it over to heroic. That'll give you the option to fight Lich King on 25 heroic. You still have the option to get all the mount and everything else that goes with it, but you don't have to worry about doing all the other bosses on 25 heroic. It makes it a heck of a lot easier. So, as you can see, switch it over to 25 heroic, and there you go. Reloads the instance, you're back in, all the other bosses are dead, and you're good to go. Now, as you can see here, I'm actually using DPS gear. I'm actually using the dual wield DPS gear, so it's mostly frost based. And that's actually going to help you out just for a little bit of survival. But it will be tank gear, or DPS gear rather, with a little bit of mastery, and then you're actually going to be in blood spec. Now, that extra mastery and that blood shield are going to help you out with building your damage, because you're going to stand in just about everything you can to get your vengeance as high as possible. You'll also note that I am using a flask for the damage. Usually you use a food buff for damage too. Do bear in mind that I've kind of done this one a little bit sloppy, just because at this point it's become relatively easy, and after you've done it for a while, you will have no hard time with it either. I will tell you that you need to use at least a Raid Finder two-handed weapon to pull this off, and you're going to need some good gear. I can tell you that the Legendary Cloak helps immensely, but it's not entirely necessary. But a 550 eye level, you should be able to pull it off. The hardest part about this is that you are facing an enraged timer. It's about 15 minutes. So you do have to be very smooth with what you're doing, and mistakes will cost you heavily here, because this is in fact a DPS race. But try and keep yourself topped off at all times. That way the infest does not hurt you too badly. If you do bring one other person, you do have to remember to have them run out if they get Necrotic Plague, because Necrotic Plague will start hurting you a lot. So it's not too much of a problem when you're running in here by yourself, but like I said, with other people it becomes an issue. Also, when you're soloing, you don't have to worry about the Valkyrs. As you'll see in this fight, the Valkyrs will fly down, look at you, and do nothing. And I'll try and be patient, because this is in fact a very long fight. So before the fight starts, you're going to have yourself fully buffed up. You're going to pre-pot, and you're going to lust before the fight starts. The Drums of Rage are very helpful for that. So army up, you'll pre-pot, you'll Drums of Rage, and then you'll put your dots on. You'll probably have to reapply them. I actually have an add-on for that, just to kind of tell me when I can get the most out of it. But try and keep your dots up. Once you have them up and they're at the maximum efficiency, you don't have to worry about going back through,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Beware.
So, as you see, we're just kiting out of shadow traps, slowly back up and around. A nice little thing to judge how well you're doing and how much time it's taking is I've been using the distance. If I kite a little over halfway around, or it takes me 3/4 of the way around the circle to get them to get past the first phase, then I know I'm going too slow. You'll also note I'm actually not actively killing the ads. They're just helping me as much as possible with that vengeance. I blood boil once in a while to refresh. I actually probably do it too much in this fight, but it does help. And I'm also not summoning my ghoul. Now, when you're doing this and you're having a little trouble with DPS, summon your ghoul as frequently as possible. That will help you out much. But if you're more looking at the survival aspect of it, the ghoul pop really helps if you're using Death Pact.
3, 2, beware.
And once again, I'm using Mastery gear, so my bubbles are giving me a lot from that blood shield. I'm at about 200%, if I'm correct.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5, 4, 2, 1.
Beware. 5, 4, 3, 2.
And yes, this does get a bit boring and tedious, as you can tell.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
4. Beware.
And for the record, I'm not clicking just to show you guys what attacks to use. I'm actually a clicker, so yeah.
3, 2,
5,
1.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Beware.
For any of you who are wondering how to get to this part, I actually have another video I've just put out to show how to take out Valithria Dreamweaver in 10-man normal
1.
as a Blood Death Knight. Those bloodworms are awesome. I don't know what they're going to be doing in Warlords of Draenor. I heard we're going to lose our blood parasites, which would make that impossible, but I have to do some research on it. Alright, so now we're going into Phase 2, into the Remorseless Winter. Now, one of the tricks for this is, you want to stay here and do as much damage as you can, but you don't want to get knocked off by the Ice Spheres. Ah, the joys of living by an airport. Back to what I was saying. You don't want to get hit by the Ice Spheres. So you're going to Blood Boil, and that'll take most of them out. But what will happen is, as the Raging Spirits start getting summoned, they're going to silence you. So once that happens, don't wait. As soon as you see a Raging Spirit and you got silenced and there's an Ice Sphere coming down, just run over here. If they hit you, they can't knock you off. They're just going to bump you back into the stairs. Make sure your back is to the stairs the whole time. And, as you can see, it doesn't do any damage. Now, the next thing you're going to do is focus on the Raging Spirits, not the other ads. You want to kill them off. And actually, you're going to use the diseases you've spread to all the ads now to continue the diseases on, so that when the Lich King comes back, you can actually use the same diseases that have all, that are buffed from earlier when you used your pre-potting and used your Bloodlust. It'll actually still have all those attributes, so you want to use that over. There you go. As you can see, it's still hurting him. It's at maximum efficiency.
5,
So from here, you're just going to focus him down. I know there are other ads. We're not even trying to kill them all. They'll die as you go. You just want to keep focusing them down. Now, if you do have trouble with damage, if it becomes an issue, kill off those Raging Spirits, because they're going to silence you, as I said, and you don't want to get to a position where you can't heal yourself. Now, right now, I'm not using Lichborn, but the Lichborn Death Coil macro is very helpful if you start getting into trouble. But, as you can see, once again, there are those Valkyrs. They fly down. They don't attack you at all. And you will stand in Defile. That Defile is wonderful for boosting your vengeance. God, I love it.
4, 3, 2, 1.
One of the combos he can kill you with, and this is kind of a pain, is if he puts a disease on you, specifically like Infest, and you're standing in 3 stacks of Defile, plus you get Soul Reapered and silenced at the same time. That is something you really have to watch for, and that's one of the reasons I keep my ghoul around here. I'm not summoning him until I have to pop him in case I have an emergency. But for the most part, as you can see if you've been looking at my health, it doesn't really move much.
3, 2, 1.
And this is probably the easiest part of the fight, to be perfectly honest. Because you're just going to stand here, take as much damage as you have to, and keep, wailing on him. You don't really have an issue until you get to Phase 3, so you want to do a lot of damage here while you can. The problem is when you get to Phase 3, he'll start... Well, you'll see here in a minute. I'll just wait and show you.
Beware. 4, 3, 2, 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Beware.
So before we get to it, I want to let you know a secret here, a little trick. I'm sure most of you already know, but if you didn't, if you use your rune power, the empowered rune weapon rather, and you Soul Reaper, you can get 2 Soul Reapers at a shot off. It's really nice. So keep that in mind. The most optimum way to do it is you summon it and you do a Soul Reaper immediately. Then you're going to apply diseases. Because when you apply diseases, you get both on. You can't refresh the second set, but you can at least put them on. It gives you double dots for a little while. And then you're just going to make sure that you use that Soul Reaper on cooldown as many times as you can. If you're lucky, you can usually get 3 off, if I'm not mistaken. 2 or 3, but it's very close to get the 3rd. It's actually rather difficult. So usually you're going to get 2, but it still helps. 2 double Soul Reapers is immense. Alright, so here we come. Here comes the phase transition. Alright, phase transition. Here comes Harvest Soul. This is what's going to get you, because approximately every 60 seconds, he's going to do Harvest Soul on you, so you lose DPS time. So while you're thinking you're making great time, all of a sudden now you're stuck in this room where you can't do anything. So the easiest way to deal with this room is honestly just kite these ads around in a circle. I just run circles and they never hit me. But if you are low on health and you want a little trick that's going to help you out, you can Death Grip one over to you and Death Strike it and heal yourself. Another way to do it is if you're using Lichborn macro, if you pop AMS, pull them all to you, they, like with Gorfian's Grasp or something similar. When you do that, it's going to fill your runic power, and then you can, Lich Coil yourself back up to health. But for the most part at this point, as you can see, I really don't need to. And this is where you're going to start paying attention to your cooldowns. Because you can see my cooldown on my Bloodlust are starting to come up, and so is the cooldown on my army. They're actually going to come up at the same time, obviously, being it's a 10-minute cooldown. So you're just going to wait it out. It'll probably be after this next Harvest Soul. So when you come out here, you just do what you can. You put your diseases on. You don't have to worry about popping any cooldowns or anything like that, because you're going to put the next set on. That's when you're going to get your most out of it. So you just start hitting them. Use your Soul Reaper as often as possible. As you can see, I'm intentionally not putting D&D down, because Death and Decay would hurt the ads more than I'm looking for, and I would lose out on a lot of Vengeance. Another thing to deal with those Vile Spirits as they're coming at you. Once again, if you use the AMS, Anti-Magic Shell is your best friend. It's, in my opinion, my favorite move that it definitely has. Not only will it protect you from the damage, but it will also give you lots of runic power you can spend on that Lich Coil we were discussing earlier. So, 5 minutes and 23 seconds on the Berserk. And while you're in here, try and enjoy your downtime. It gives you a moment. Also, any buffs you can get before going into this are nice. So if you happen to be, you're doing this, when you leave, you can head back to Dal and get buffed up, or, bring scrolls if you really want to go that route. Alright, here we go. So you get out, now you're going to cast your army first. Then you're going to pop your cooldowns and your rune weapon, and as you can see right there, just use the Soul Reaper and then put your diseases on. Now, I'm messing up right here. I'm not using my Soul Reaper nearly as often as I should. As I said, I got a little sloppy with this one because, well, I do this weekly and it kind of gets boring. But now it's just all about pushing him down beyond that threshold. You only have to get him to about 10%. So you're just going to push as fast as you can to get him down there. That way you don't have to worry about running out of time. That 4-minute Berserk seems like a lot, but when you're going to miss at least a minute out of it for being in Harvest Soul. Alright, his health is almost there. You have to get that down to 103. Like I said, 10%, so I should be able to have him the next one. Leaving me about 2 minutes before Berserk. Now, I have done this and run out a few times, and you're going to notice if you're in a little bit less gear, they're going to have that same problem. But I know some people have like a heroic weapon or something like that that will really help. I'm using the sword from Shah in the Siege of Orgrimmar. It's a normal weapon, upgraded 4 times to a 569. It definitely helps. It made it much easier than using that flex weapon I was using before. But it's still doable with a flex weapon. And here it is. Now, I didn't bother doing it this time because I had so much health it didn't matter. But if you want to survive Fury of the Frostmourne, all you have to do is pop AMS, you'll live through it, or Icebound Fortitude, something of that nature, and you'll be fine. But one of the things about it that's tricky is because after you cast Fury of Frostmourne, all the Vile Spirits are going to start hitting you, and they'll finish you off if you're not careful. But that's pretty much it. Relatively easy kill, as long as you're patient, you don't get a little antsy. Try it out for yourselves. I mean, don't be intimidated by it. A lot of people were wondering, they don't think it can happen. There are lots of DPS who can do it too. So yeah, now you pretty much just have to suffer through the forever long roleplay, which was awesome back in its time, but now I'm just kind of sick of seeing it. And from here, you can pretty much just finish him off. You can't kill him until he goes to that final phase transition he does, but you can't get him down to 1 health, so why not? Let's start hitting him. And that's pretty much it. He's toast. If you do die, just wait for your res and it'll be fine. But yeah, that's it. So I thank you all for watching, and I hope this has been helpful.